Today, we are going to take a look at the number one reason why Warren Buffett is the greatest investor of all time. Hello and welcome. My name is Peter B. and I welcome you here at My First Million, where we are achieving our financial goals together. So, as a financial enthusiast, I like to study all the great investors out there, all the legends out there. But when you think about great investors, there's always one name that comes to mind first, and this is the legendary Warren Buffett. And studying Warren Buffett, I believe I found the number one reason why he's not just now considered being the greatest investor of all time, but he will keep this title for the long-term future. So, let's take a look at the reason. For this, let's have a look at the life of the legendary Warren Buffett first. And I will go through this very quickly without going really into the details. So this is Warren Buffett. And you see him as a small boy and now as a very experienced man with an age of 92 years old. Taking a look into the history of Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's investment style evolved over time. But even as a child, he already has a very high interest on businesses. So during his childhood and teenagehood, he already had a very entrepreneurial mind. And thanks to books like 1,000 Ways to Earn $1,000, he already started smaller businesses at a young age. So Warren Buffett already had several small side hustles on start as a teenager to earn several $1,000s during his teenagehood. But he was also very interested in studying about money and especially then the stock market. So he was reading a lot of stock related books, and then he was basically going into the direction of start to pick stocks. And he mainly took an approach of taking a look at charts and taking a look at the history of stocks and then made some investments decision there. Until one day he discovered Benjamin Graham's book and he learned about value investing. And he realized that behind a stock is not just a number or a price. Behind a stock there's a real business. So he was starting off as a deep value investor and start to invest into companies which were very cheap. And he called this the cigar butt investing approach. Cigar butt meaning at that time where a lot of people still were smoking cigars. Maybe you could find some smoked cigars, some butts of smoked cigars still on the street, which were already used up. But if you would pick them up and light them up, maybe you could still get a puff out of it, as Warren Buffett describes his approach. So he was looking for very cheap companies who have still some values inside that are more than what the company is currently priced at on the stock market. Although he was doing very well with this approach, with a limited amount of money, over time though he realized that he needed to have more cash in order to be able to invest into more companies. So he got interested into buying insurance businesses. And the insurance businesses provided him with the float, what he would call float, with a cash position that he could use then to buy other companies. The float is basically happening if someone want to have an insurance, you will need to pay the premium first. And in case of an incident where the insurance need to cover maybe for instance an accident, the insurance would need to pay the money that it earns from the premium to pay the insured person. However, during this time, from the collection of the premiums until the incident happens, the insurance company is keeping the cash on hand. So the insurance companies had a lot of cash on hand, which Warren Buffett could use as float. And then also working together with Charlie Munger, he realized that instead of buying very cheap priced but mediocre quality business, it's better maybe to invest into wonderful businesses at moderate prices. So these are then the examples like the Coca-Cola company that he would always bring up. So over time, Warren Buffett was adjusting his investment philosophy. And I think one big reason why he was so successful is what he always also mentioned. He's an investor and at the same time a businessman. And he always, when you watch videos of Warren Buffett's interview, he always says, being an investor makes him a better businessman. And being a businessman makes him a better investor. However, is this the only reason, or is this the main reason why Warren Buffett is considered the GOAT? I would say what you can see here is the reason why he is an investing legend, but it's maybe not the one distinguishing reason why he became the GOAT, why he is the GOAT of all the investment legends. Now let's come to the number one reason why I believe he is the GOAT of all the investing legends. And this brings me back to the beginning again, to these two pictures. Warren Buffett is 92 years old. And he started in the investment game very early, and even more importantly, he never stopped playing the game. And even at the age of 92 years old, he is even at the peak of his game. So this is, in my opinion, the number one reason why he's the GOAT. The other reasons make him a great investor and an investment legend, but this sole reason makes him the GOAT and let him stand out from other investment legends, like for instance Peter Lynch. And what he did is basically, in a nutshell, he just played the wealth cycle over and over again. So the wealth cycle is showing how you're building wealth over time. You have earnings minus spendings, then you have your savings. If you do this calculation, then you take your savings and put it into investments. Then if you're good in investing, you will generate a positive rate of return and can boost your earnings. And of course, Warren Buffett is especially well in the investing portion of the wealth cycle. But also his spendings were very moderate, so he wasn't blowing away his riches when he was at a younger age by buying big mansions or buying private jets and so on. But what is the magic sauce for him being the GOAT? He just keep on playing the game, keep on going through the cycle, turn by turn, cycle by cycle. And with every cycle, just try to improve his game, adjust his game, and come out as a winner of each cycle. And with the age of 92 years old, he played already many cycles, much more cycles than probably every other investor have. So the results can be seen here. Here on the bottom of this chart, you can see his age, and you can see how much was his net worth over time. And if you take a look at already at a young age, he was able to amass quite a considerable amounts. But it took him until 30 years old, until he became a millionaire. And even at 53 years old, he wasn't a billionaire yet. So nowadays you will see much younger billionaires, much earlier. But if you take a look number by number, with each period that is listed here on this graph, you will see he has phenomenal returns. Usually doubling his money every 1 to 3 years or so. Only at the time, I would say between like a 39 to 44, there seems to be like a small setback. Something probably has happened when he was 43 years old, which was quite a big reduction in his net worth. But then he just keep on playing the game, and you see over time exactly what will happen with compounding effect. You see here that the first several columns, you will even not see the columns because compared to his current net worth, these are diminishing. And at 83 years old, he had nearly 60 billion. Now he's 92 years old, and he has over 100 billion of net worth. I think the key essence of this graph is showing that Warren Buffett on one side is a great investor. He is able to double his money in a very short amount of time, every 2 years or so, or every 3 years or so. He usually doubled his net worth. However, why he's the biggest of all time, the greatest of all time, is because he just keeps on playing the game. And even at 92 years old, he hasn't stopped playing the game yet. So now over 100 billion US dollar. He also mentioned though, it is necessary that you need to evolve as an investor. And now with such a huge fortune, it's more and more difficult for Berkshire Hathaway, his investment vehicle, to find reasonable deals in the market. So this is one of the factors why maybe recently his wealth is not growing as fast anymore. But the other factor that is probably not considered in this graph is he's also giving away a considerable amount of his wealth to charity. So when you want to follow Warren Buffett's path, you see what he was able to do is really getting very high returns from his investments. Maybe doubling his net worth every 1 to 3 years, means that he was able to generate 25% or more of annual returns. So you would need to be a great investor, but especially you would need to play the game for a very long time, and you need to play the game on a very high level for a very long time. And on a very high level means you cannot afford to have too many significant setbacks during your journey. How likely is it that you or I can follow Warren Buffett and even outbeat him? I think this is hardly possible for anyone out there, unless you really have the same passion, the same habits, and so on, what Warren Buffett has towards investing and businesses. However, what most of us have, what also Warren Buffett had, we have time on our hands. We have time to improve our wealth cycle over and over, optimize our wealth cycle over and over, and we can just continue to play the game, just like what Warren Buffett did. Earn more, spend less in order that you have more savings. Then use your savings, put them into investments. And if you are improving your investment performance with limited risks, you will also see that over time, this compounding effect that you have seen in the curve from Warren Buffett's wealth development also kick in your net worth. Maybe it will not be in the billions, maybe it will just stay in the millions or in the several hundred thousands. But if you play long enough, you will see significant results as well. What are you doing to improve your wealth cycle? Please write in the comments below and share it with us. Thanks a lot for joining me today. I look forward to see you in the next video, and especially I look forward to seeing you winning financially.